Welcome to this episode of Moonbats. It's time to do some maintenance. Oh, stupid. Alright, so just got back from a trip. I gotta do some maintenance. So what do I gotta do? I gotta change the oil. The other side of the bike, but it all comes down here. Because that's how the oil is done on a Sportster. I lost one of my headlights. I don't know what happened to it. It doesn't work anymore. So I gotta figure out what's going on with that. I need to change my chain, and my brake pads are still good. So let's do some of that stuff and see what else I can find. Probably gonna change my front tire too, because it's time. Alright, so we're gonna change the oil. First thing we're gonna do. This is an 04 Sportster. So they changed things up from 03 to 04. That's when they brought in a rubber mount frame, as you can see here. So everything is a little bit different. So the way they did the oil is the tank is on the opposite side. It's got a little drain hose that comes down and it clips to the frame right back here. And so you just pop that down, you loosen that hose clamp out, and then it just drains out of this hose. So that's really, really straightforward. So usually there's like a bolt that you have to undo, and then you end up burning yourself. You strip the bolt when you tighten it back down. Everyone messes it up, and then you gotta deal with all that. This makes it like super straightforward. You literally just undo that hose clamp, pop this guy out, and I've seen it where this thing's been broken off, but it's not a big deal. And then you just let it sit and drain for a bit. I'm gonna pull this hose clamp off and get it all nice and oily. So that's it. That's the whole process for draining the oil on an 04 Sportster. I'm gonna pull the cap off just so it maybe gives it a little bit more airflow or suction or whatever it does, so it doesn't get clogged up there. I don't remember the last time I did the oil change on this bike. It's definitely been a bit. Not more than 4,000 miles or 3,000 or 5. I don't know. It's been some miles. So draining the oil, and then so while that's draining, I'm going to show you over here. On the front is where the oil filter is. So in theory, yeah, good. It shouldn't be so tight that you can't get it undone. This one has a oil cooler attached to it, which makes it a little bit more complicated. But the really bad design in this is that whenever you loosen this out, all the oil just drips out all over the frame, all over your rubber mount, which is really bad for it. You can't really do that to your rubber mounts. You shouldn't be exposing them to rubber all the time. So what you do is you take a little piece of a sled or a antifreeze coolant container, and you just tickle it under here. And you slide it in, and that's it. And so whenever you pull it out, it'll just pour out of here and drain down into there. Drain down off of this. There is a little notch cut into it because you can't really see it, but there is a notch in this oil mount that allows it to just slide right in, and it gets it a little bit closer to do that. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till this is done draining, and then I'm going to bring the oil pan, close it back up, bring the oil pan over here, pull the oil filter off, and then let everything drain out. And then we'll refill it. It's really straightforward, really easy. If you're on a road trip, you could even do this on the side of the road with a catch can and something else. If you happen to hit a time when you need an oil change and you're like in the middle of nowhere, it happens. Sometimes you're going and the road doesn't line up with your oil change schedule. Well, you got to do it. So here we are. So here's the other side of that. I'm going to just spray this down. Try and clean this up a little bit. Alright, so let's talk oil filters. You can use the Harley one or I've got a Fram one here too, PH6022. They're both the same thing. Probably this one's even made by them. I've got both of them in here. We use whatever we've got in the shop. So you'll notice that this has an O-ring on it. You want to make sure that this surface that is going onto is clean. It's not gross or anything like that. And also that the old O-ring didn't stick. Some folks fill them up, put it in, and then they spill oil all over their bike. I don't recommend doing that. So what I do is I take a little bit of oil, used oil, and just a touch of oil on the edge here, just to lube up that O-ring just so it doesn't stick, it slides on. And with these oil filters, you don't need to go crazy tight, you just want them hand tight. You don't need to use a wrench to put them on because then you'll never get them off. So I'm just doing hand tight on this, and that's it. So now I can fill it up with oil. All this is done. And when I cleaned all that off, you want to make sure you clean it off, because if you start leaking oil anywhere, you don't want to be wondering, was that from when I did my oil change? Was that just there already? Clean up your mess. Don't leave it all gross. Alright, so we're going to do some basic troubleshooting here. Whoa. Hitting things. We're going to do some basic troubleshooting. I disconnected all my wiring harness to make sure that I just undid all the covers for it. I checked all the wires. I checked the switch to make sure that it was still working. It was. So I know that this light works. This one, the low power, does not. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the switch is good. It still clicks. So what I'm going to check first is I'm going to check if I'm getting power to the light itself. You should get 12 volts. So I've got my voltmeter here. Hook it up. And everything is grounded on the frame, to the frame, but I'm going to check at the ground itself. So it's 2 volts, so let's see here. I've got the switch on now. Check it. I do have 12 volts coming to the power. So that means my bulb is shot. Easy solution. Alright, the way these guys work, it's really straightforward. This is not a sealed unit, so the lens comes off, and then to get the light out, it's a little clip on the back here. Clip here. That slides out, and then the bulb just comes right out. And then it's connected right here to this guy. So what we're going to do is we're going to reconnect. This is the bulb here. Let's see. The bulb actually looks good. So what we're going to do is we're going to check with a second bulb and see what's going on. So let's see. So that is not doing anything. Interesting. The original bulb I had in there, pushing it back in, and now it works. So, it works. I'm going to put this all back together, and I fixed my headlight. I don't know what happened. I'm going to assume that the bulb got a little cockeyed in there from rattling around, and it wasn't getting a good contact on the body, which is what grounds it out. We'll say that's what was happening, because otherwise, I have no idea. So let's put this all back together and call it a day for this. Alright, so it's been a few days, but I gotta change tires too. I don't remember what the last thing I did was. I probably did something, maybe the oil change, or something like that. So, front tire's gotta go. It's starting to howl and bobble and bop and jiggle. So I'm gonna change this Dirt Master, whatever, I don't know what it is, Trail Master to a Shinko E270 for different kind of feelings. So let's change a tire. Well, I might eat, so maybe you'll just see parts of this instead of me actually doing this. Watch the tire video changing. It's like here somewhere. I changed tires already. You can watch that. Alright, so first step, take off your wheel. Second step, break the bead. And then just take the wheel off. Tire. Whatever. That thing's got to come off. This is an ASMR channel now. So whatever Corey just said, make sure it's tight. And then you got to balance the wheel with a little bubble balancer. Bubbles. They're there. It'll stop moving eventually and it'll be in the middle. And then we're going to go see what Corey's doing. Hey Corey, what you doing on your bike?
Finishing up the wires.
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 So you ran them in the bars?
Yeah.
You can't even see them. Look at that. You can't even see them. They're in there. They come out down there somewhere, like a magic. And then he's got them plugged in there. He got these bars on. Fork's done. Got a cable for the fork of the brake. What else we got? We got the carb mounted. We got to get a little spacer here for these guys. Yeah. There's the list. You can sort of see it. Let's see if I can zoom in. There you go. Right here is some stuff he had to do. He got all of that done. So he's going to be riding this in like 6 days. Or an hour. Whatever comes first. So Corey's got to put these things in here. He's putting these turn signals there. And then they did that, which is cool.
The whole bike is like this.
Whole professional wiring. It's great. It's good. Alright, so tires mounted. Here's what it looks like. Way better for the highway, I guess. Less better for those cool grooved ridged bridges that we cross all the time. Next thing I got to do in my tune-up is change my chain. So chain's coming off now. Hopefully I have the master link in a place where I can reach it. We'll see. I didn't have the master link in a good spot, so I got to rotate it around. And I'm going to put it right there. See right there? That's how you take the chain apart. You pop this thing off, pop that little guy out, pull the chain off, measure your new chain based on that chain, and then put the new chain on, and that's it.
Fucking idiot. But like, when I got older than that, I was like, oh yeah, Goop's a big deal.
Alright, so I'm working on my chain, as you can see. And I gotta bring Corey into this here. Because we're gonna give you a Canadian history lesson. I didn't know this because I'm not from Canada. I've been here 20 years, but I'm not from here. And I'm in Quebec, so like what does that even mean? Anyways, in Ontario, if you call someone a goof, it's like the worst insult you can give them. Mm-hmm. And like you can be like, yo, goof bud, and then like all of a sudden you're in a fight in a bar.
Fucking goof bud.
So if you're ever driving through Ontario and you really want to pick a fight with somebody on the road, you could just call him a goof.
Call him a fucking goof.
A goof. You don't even have to throw in the F-bomb in there. Because whatever. But you could just call people a goof. So don't go goofing.
You hear him say it, you're like, fuck, dude, like, dead serious.
So don't call someone a goof. I was joking. It means child molester, I think, or like, I don't know. Something to do with jail talk. So maybe, I bet you this is going to get this video like flagged. Probably. You goof, damn it. I can't use that at all. We're going to beep that out.
You can't swear?
I have to figure out how to put in beeps now. Jeez, that was pretty rough. Chains on. I'm really tired. That's the end of this tune-up video. We did an oil change, a tire change, a chain change, check the brakes. I think that's it. I'm leaving for Massachusetts in 3 days. I got a special video coming up. I'm going to ride the Indian. You won't know that if you don't watch that next one. Maybe it'll be after that. I don't know. It takes a long depend. Like, subscribe.